Today we're discussing what happens when you smoke weed. Cannabis is originally from Asia but is now popular worldwide with over 700 types. It can be tricky to figure out the type you have, especially if it's illegal where you are. Inside cannabis, there are two main things, CBD and THC. CBD can help with anxiety but it doesn't get you high. THC is what you makes feel good and giggly when you smoke. When you smoke weed, THC quickly enters your body through your lungs, giving you a fast high. However, it can also irritate your lungs like cigarette. Now let's focus on what happens in your lungs when you smoke marijuana. THC, one of the active compounds in cannabis, enters your bloodstream directly through the alveoli, which then carries out throughout your body, including to your brain. This quick transfer means you can start feeling the effects of THC within seconds of inhaling. Once THC reaches your brain, it binds to receptors in various areas. For instance, it can affect the amygdala, which deals the emotions and anxiety. CBD, another component of cannabis, can dampen activity in this part of the brain, but the THC may stimulate it. This can result in users feeling more relaxed or, in some cases, experiencing heightened paranoia or anxiety as the calming effects wear off. Different parts of your brain are also impacted by CBD and THC. Responsible for motor control, the neocortex, which processes sensory information, and the cerebellum, involved in motor functions, all slow down under the influence of marijuana. This can lead to delayed reflexes, slower processing of information, and reduced motor skills and speech. Driving while high can be extremely risky due to these effects. Studies have shown that fatal accidents are more likely when someone is under the influence of marijuana, with some research indicating up to 4 times higher risk. Many countries have strict laws against driving under the influence of weed due to its long-lasting presence in tests, ranging from days to months depending on the type of test conducted. Thankfully, during routine traffic stops, police officers typically don't pluck arm hairs for testing, especially not for cannabis use detection. However, it's oversimplifying to say that cannabis only numbs the brain. THC, a potent component in cannabis, can actually boost neural activity. Colors appear more vibrant, some become more pronounced, and music gains depth and richness. Food tastes exceptionally good, leading to the infamous munchies experienced by many cannabis users, which can be perilous for your snack stash if a stoner visits. People often report heightened creativity, thinking outside the box, and having fresh ideas when high. Throughout history, artists have used recreational drug to inspire new perspectives. THC dulls negative sensations like pain and anxiety while triggering feelings of euphoria. So, as your test subject, you've achieved high state. But what does that high entail? Let's explore further. Apart from THC and CBD, cannabis contains hundreds of active components that vary depending on the strain and consumption method. Smoking or vaping delivers a quick high lasting about 3 hours, while edibles like gummies or baked goods take longer to kick in but can provide extended highs for hours or even a day. This complexity makes studying marijuana effects challenging. Factors like strain, ingestion method, and individuals' differences add layers of complexity to research. The human brain is incredibly intricate. A grain of sand-sized sample from the brain contains 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. Multiply that by 860,000 and you have a complexity of a human brain. Understanding the brain's reaction to substances like marijuana requires intricate measurements due to its sophistication compared to even the most advanced computers. The complexities of understanding marijuana's effects have posed a significant challenge in medical science for many years and will likely continue to do so for a long time. For instance, while one person feels anxious after just a puff, another, like their elderly grandma, might smoke more without feeling any negative effects, only a sense of relaxation. So, is marijuana dangerous, especially for older folks like grandma? Generally speaking, consuming marijuana is considered relatively harmless, especially if you're not engaging in activities like driving, operating heavy machinery, or performing surgery. The risks are low when smoking occasionally and in moderation. Despite its perceived safety, why hasn't marijuana been legalized worldwide, and why there's still skeptics even within the scientific community? A lot of these contentions stems from political and cultural differences. While early medical practices weren't always reliable, think leeches and milk transfusions, the fascination with cannabis endured among doctors and pharmacologists through the centuries, showcasing its intriguing potential despite ongoing debates about its legalization and efficacy. Mythology often contains kernels of truth, even in stories surrounding drugs like cannabis. In Hinduism, for instance, the god of Shiva is known as the Lord of Bang because cannabis is believed to be his favorite food. Centuries ago, many Hindus thought that a fever was a result of Shiva's anger, and to appease him, they consumed cannabis in rituals. Modern medical science showed that THC, a component in cannabis, affects the hypothalamus in the brain, lowering body temperature and potentially alleviating fevers. So, how did cannabis's reputation take a downturn? Why is it often associated with harder drugs like crack cocaine and heroin instead of everyday medications like paracetamol or penicillin in Western cultures? The story starts with the introduction of medical marijuana to the West in 1841 by William Brooke O'Shaughnessy, an Irish physician who studied various medicines in India. However, the roots of the United States issues with marijuana trace back 200 years earlier to the Jamestown colony in 1605. The English, including King James I, urged the colony to switch from their existing crops to hemp, a plant related to cannabis. This change proved immensely successful, playing a pivotal role in the early growth of American settlements. Even George Washington cultivated hemp among his primary crops at Mount Vernon, using it to make ropes and fabrics. Over time, as William Brooke O'Shaughnessy research from India spread, Americans began exploring cannabis's medicinal potential as well. The United States was still quite young, and its rules about drugs were just starting to form. Back then, products were often called poisons, and you could only get them with a prescription from a pharmacist. But when it came to cannabis, different states had different ideas. Some thought it was poison, while others didn't mind. At that time, places called opium dens and hashish parlors were popular, where people could smoke hemp and cannabis. These spots became trendy, especially among rich folks. In New York City alone, there was about 500 of these places by 1800s. As problems with fake products and fraud grew, the government needed stricter rules. This led to conflicts between people who wanted their highs and the government trying to control it all. Cannabis got grouped with really addictive and harmful drugs in these new laws. Then, the government got serious, making strict rules against using drugs for fun. This included banning alcohol and making cannabis illegal. In the 1970s, President Nixon declared a war on drugs, which meant harsh punishments for using banned substances. There was a lot of scary talk about drugs, like how they could mess up your brain or lead to worse drugs. But the truth is, while using a lot of cannabis can cause some problems, like feeling paranoid or anxious, is not as scary as some people say. Using cannabis too much can make you depend on it, but that's usually temporary and can be fixed by taking a break. However, for young people whose brains are still growing, using cannabis a lot could cause bigger problems. In short, cannabis is not a miracle drug, but it's also not the end of the world. It's important to understand the facts and not get caught up in all the scary stories.